you have to be looking at your numbers and not have your head in the sand. Whether we're in a recession or not may be affecting your business, but it may not be. I have some clients that can boom in a recession because of what they do, whereas other clients are more of that luxury service and they're going to struggle in a recession. And knowing that it's coming can help you prepare, as long as you're not doing it from a place of fear. Similar to you, I'm a big fan of the positive outlook on things, and making decisions from a place of fear is going to put you in a place where you're not making the best business decisions.
Hello and welcome to episode 228 of the Wisdom in the Tangents podcast. I am your host, John Mansfield. Every week I have conversations with other photographers and creative entrepreneurs where we dive into different topics and chase down all of the tangents that come our way to bring you some good wisdom, some insight and some tips, some strategy that you can implement in your business to grow your business into what you've always dreamed of and have the life that you have always wanted. And today on the show, we're talking about recession proofing our businesses. I know that word recession has been thrown around the last 4 years or so of, post-COVID and through all of that and shutdowns and everything, and how the economy has gone up and down and, the cycles that it goes, and whether the experts say that we are about to get to a recession or we're in the middle of one, but we're just in denial about it or whatever it is. This is a really great episode for you to listen to because as solopreneurs, it's our livelihood. Your business is putting food on the table for yourself, your family, your pets. If you have a team, it is their livelihoods as well. So this is very important. And my guest today, Danielle Hendon, she is leading us through some steps that we can take to recession proof our business. And even if you're not like proofing for an upcoming possible recession, these are really great things to do to build your business, to just like get that foundation really secure. So you can grow and you're not worried about certain things hitting you. Danielle is the founder and owner of Corners CFO, which is a firm offering financial advisory services for small businesses. She's got over a decade of experience in the corporate finance and accounting world, and she takes that like big business financial analysis brain and targets it towards entrepreneurs. Instead of helping corporations increase share price, she's helping business owners increase their personal livelihoods so that they can leave a legacy and lasting impact on their community. And she's got so much knowledge for you today. This is a really great episode, especially if you are someone, I know we talk about this a little bit, how I love finances, I love numbers. If you are the kind of creative that does not love numbers, you do not love finances, this is a great episode to listen to because she really breaks it down for you and gives some actionable steps that you can take to safeguard your business and to like start making your money work for you when it comes to like saving for taxes and those kind of things. We'll get into it in the conversation, which I think we should get into right now. So here's my conversation with Danielle Hendon. Danielle, welcome to the show. I'm super excited to chat with you and very excited about this topic. I think it's going to be really great. I know this has been a pain point from a lot of entrepreneurs over the last few years. So I'm excited to talk about recession proofing our business, what that looks like, all of that. But yeah, Danielle, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, and I am excited to hear that you're excited about finance because not everybody is.
No, it's definitely something that like I feel, I don't know, like I was going to say fish out of water, but I don't think that's the right idiom. I feel like an odd fish. We'll just stick with the fish.
It's definitely something people like to put their head in the sand for.
Yes, 100%. It's just like, I don't know, money, finances, this is crazy things. I have a debit card that I can just swipe, and hopefully there's money in there. Uh, like I remember, I'm dating myself or aging myself now, but I remember like learning as a teenager to balance a checkbook, and
Yes.
like I had that whole like chart in the back of my checkbook that I was writing like $3 checks for candy at the grocery store, and I'm like, oh, all right, I have $3, and now I have $213 in my account, and like trying to balance all of that, and it is so different now.
It
Where
is, but some of it's the same. Like, I still use the balancing a checkbook analogy whenever I try to explain reconciliations to somebody. So
mm,
I don't know if anybody else has ever balanced a checkbook, but it's what I use for our analogy when I try to explain it.
yeah, it's I don't really know if there's like a more common like 2020s version of balancing your checkbook. Um, but yeah,
Everything's so instant now.
yeah, everything is instant. Everything is just like swipe it, scan it, tap it, and just, I can see how easily it is for people to just like rack up credit card debt, which I've definitely been there myself, where I'm just like, oh yeah, sure, swipe. I'm sure,
Mhm.
this is just adding a couple $100. And then I check the balance. I'm like, oh, how'd I get to 2,000 already? This is insane.
Couple $100 a couple times.
It happens, yeah. But yeah, well, yeah, balancing checkbooks and all the things. I am very interested in finance. Like I had one of the things that my wife and I find really interesting is that when we first met and we were just kind of like not even dating, I think we were just friends and just hanging out, we were talking about budgets, and like we brought our our Excel spreadsheets of our budgets, and we were
Aw.
comparing them. We're like, oh yeah, that's about the same percentage that I put for this, and it was just like super nerdy. So
Bonding over budgets.
bonding over budgets, I love it. But yeah, I've always had a fascination with finances and just like getting a hold of money and not letting money have a hold of me.
Mm.
Um, and I've definitely gone through seasons and waves where it has had a huge hold on me. But yeah, how did you get into finances and all those things? Was that something from a young age as well?
So it's funny, I was having this conversation with my kids the other day, and everybody around me saw it far before I did. I in high school I did a lot of different accounting related jobs just because I was good at them. I was like the teller at the bank. I did the cash, and I still don't know how they let me do this, but I was the one filling like the cash registers at 6 o'clock in the morning before school at like the at Kroger's down here, one of the grocery stores.
Oh wow.
Um, and then I went to school, but I actually went to college to be a music major. I thought I was going to be an opera singer.
Oh
And
cool.
I had an English professor that had us write all about the future of our career. And I very quickly realized I don't have friends in high places and I'm going to be broke. And I don't want to be a teacher. So we had to switch gears. At that time, I had some friends that were at the business school taking accounting classes. Jumped over, tried a few, loved it, stuck with it. Finished my accounting degree, went into public accounting like most people do, got my CPA, and then I started a family and did not want to be working 80-hour weeks with a newborn at home.
Hmm.
So I left the public accounting firm and went into the industry side of things. Being in the Houston area, that meant I landed in oil and gas. That's where a lot of my experience was in public. Um, and I was there for about 10 years before they went through bankruptcy. And they started slicing and dicing and selling everything off. And then the pandemic hit. And while
just
I do,
just one hit after another.
just one after another. While I don't want to take away from any of the trauma that anybody experienced in that, I think we all saw, I hope we all saw this silver lining of slowing down. The
Mm,
whole world was forced to slow down.
yeah.
And for me, it meant I got a completely different perspective of parenting because when you love what you do it a lot. And I was admittedly a bit of a workaholic, but now I was home with my kids trying to make sure they got their schoolwork done and make sure that we knew what we were doing for swim practice and getting to know the teachers and the parents and the coaches and the friends. And I realized I didn't want to give that up. I wanted to find a way to do what I love doing and be there for the people that I love the most. So I took everything I had learned, and I never thought I'd say I'm grateful for bankruptcy, but I really am because I figured out how to downsize these really big business concepts to a small business because we had to. When the controller was down to two people left on the accounting team, I'm the one that would get the call of like, hey, how do you want me to do this? We've still got to follow internal controls. We've still got to follow processes. What do you want me to do? So taking those big business concepts that make big business bigger and applying them to a small business in a way that allows them to grow a legacy and increase their livelihoods is so much more satisfying than doing it in the corporate world.
Oh yeah. Yeah, just like seeing how life-changing that is for individuals instead of like, all right, yeah, cool. There was a greater P&L statement this quarter for
Yep.
this corporation. And like, yeah, it's that I also I'm with you. Like there was a lot of trauma, a lot of, bad things that happened with the pandemic, and there was also silver lining. Like I'm always like the like I preach positivity all the time, and not like toxic positivity where it's like, well, this happened, but it, where I'm still alive.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, this happened. That was terrible. Um, I can also look to this and see how something positive came out of that, and like rest was something for me, for my family as well, and just like really more like very quality designated time with the
Mhm.
kids instead of just like being at home, maybe playing some games every now and then, but everyone kind of had their own thing to do separately. And I was also working so much that I was like, I need a break. I need to watch one of my shows while y'all watch one of your shows or something.
Yep.
And then with the pandemic, we're like, okay, we're all here 24/7. So we've got
We
to,
got to learn to do this.
yeah. And like, I feel like I know my kids a lot more now because of like doing crafts and stuff together. Or we
Mhm.
had like an inflatable bounce house that we just put in the living room, and we
Oh,
would,
I love that.
yeah, it was super fun. It was like, 6 by 6. It wasn't huge, but at the time, let's see, we had a newborn in 2020, which was fun.
Ooh,
Yeah, she was born in October. So, like, we found out my wife was pregnant in January of 2020. And then, of course, the rest of the pregnancy was all COVID.
scary.
Yeah. But yeah, our other kids were 2 and 5 at that time. So yeah, we were just bouncing on the on the little inflatable bounce house in the living room, and it just stayed up for like a month. It was great.
Oh, that's
Uh,
amazing.
but yeah, no, I love that like you have those big business, the corporate tools. I
Mhm.
was gonna say mindset, and that is not correct. But like, but like those
No, we are
tools and
small business European mindset.
yes, yes. But like you're able to like use that because a lot of us entrepreneurs, we're just like, especially in the creative world, we don't know what we're doing. It's like, I'm a photographer. I have cameras. I love taking photos of people and things and like telling story, and people pay me for that. And that's cool. And then like trying to figure out the business side of it. It's for a lot of people. I have like one of those split brains or something where I'm like, oh yeah, I can put myself in a business mindset. I can put myself in a creative mindset. But I talk to so many people that are just like, I just want to do this, and I don't know anything about budgeting. I don't know anything about finances or all the business side. So I love that you're like bringing in those tools to the more kind of small mom and pop solopreneur type businesses for helping that.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun for me. I have the creative spirit, so I can completely understand the creative side of things, but truly love getting into the numbers and making
Hmm.
it about the people, not just what's on paper, and figuring out how to help people understand the story that the numbers are telling and not just see gobbledygook sitting on a page.
Yeah. 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 I like that because it is, I mean, it looks like a foreign language sometimes of just like, okay, so what is this? And what is this number? And what's the difference between net and gross? And I don't know. And yeah. And like being able to like kind of interpret that for like, this is what the numbers are telling you. This is
Mhm.
what it's showing in your business. Like these are the numbers from your advertising and your like return on investment and everything. And things need to change because it's not doing well. And yeah, like that kind of interpretation is super helpful. Um, and like I know that we're talking about like recession proofing our business. For those who are just like, I don't know, like there's been talk about like we're in a recession right now, or a recession is coming, or maybe, no one was in business. I think let's see, I started my business shortly after like the 2008 housing crisis,
Yep.
recession and all that. But like for those who are just like, I don't know, I'm just going to keep pushing on, what does a recession look like, and how is that hard for our businesses?
So I'm going to say the very first and most important thing is regardless of recession or not, it's knowing what your business is doing and how your business is doing that is the most important. You have to be looking at your numbers and not have your head in the sand. Whether we're in a recession or not may be affecting your business, but it may not be. I have some clients that can boom in a recession because of what they do, whereas other clients are more of that luxury service and they're going to struggle in a recession. And knowing that it's coming can help you prepare as long as you're not doing it from a place of fear. Similar to you, I'm a big fan of the positive outlook on things, and making decisions from a place of fear is going to put you in a place where you're not making the best business decisions, which is going to take me to my second point. If your business is doing well right now, and there is talk of whether it's a recession or a pandemic or whatever life-changing once in a lifetime event we're about to go through next,
Again.
again, you need to have a safety net. And if
Mm,
you've not been in business long enough for that safety net to be in your savings account, my favorite thing to tell every business owner, if your finances look good right now, is to go get a line of credit. Interest rates aren't going to be great. They're going to be better than a credit card. And they're going to give you that safety net, which is far more important than anything else. Because if you are in the business right now and your bank account is empty, you are reaching for every dollar you can grab. And that dollar may not actually be making you money. It
mhm.
might actually be losing you money. It may not be the best decision for your business. But when that bank account's empty, you're going to grab everything you possibly can. It reminds me of those old game shows where you're like grabbing the money out of the air and
Oh
trying
yeah.
to get every single one of them, whether it's $1 or a 20 or 100. You're not paying any attention. You're just grabbing everything you possibly can.
Yeah.
But with a line of credit or a savings account to give you that safety net, you can give yourself some cushion. You can give yourself some space and some peace of mind to get to the next step in your business and make sure that you're not just making quick, fast, and potentially poor decisions.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I have been there where like the bank account was handfuls of dollars. I'm like, okay, I've got to book something. And like drastically lowering my prices or offering discounts or like a flash sale or something to get people in. And it worked. And like I booked people and like there was a little influx of cash, but then I had to um make good on those bookings. As a wedding photographer, I'm booking, 6 months, a year, 18 months in advance. I don't do 18 months anymore, but a lot of people do. And like, I'm booking a year in advance. So then that next season comes around. I'm like, oh, I used to make, this amount. And now this wedding, I'm going to be getting paid half of that because I was panicking a year ago when I didn't have any money. Have you ever learned something that you feel like you learned way too late in life? I feel like that guy from Instagram who's like, here's something I didn't know until my 30s, because here is something I didn't know until I was in my 30s. Your savings account can actually make you money. And I'm not talking about like traditional savings accounts that are making you like 0.01 to 0.3% interest, just pennies. That's pennies, people. I'm talking 1.5 to over 4% interest. That doesn't sound like much, but if you're talking numbers, let's say you have like $5,000 in your savings account for taxes at the end of the year, that's the difference between accruing $15 and $200 extra dollars. Now, this is a high yield savings account. I've talked about these a few times on the podcast, but now I have partnered with SoFi to bring you a little extra money. Whenever you start your free high yield savings account through SoFi, they will deposit an extra $25 in there for you for free. That's literally free money. And yes, this high yield savings account is just like a normal savings account where you can access your money. You don't have to like wait for 7 to 10 business days until you can get anything out. It's a normal savings account, except you're making more money. So go to allheartphoto.com/SoFi. That's allheartphoto.com/SOFI and let your money make you money. And I love that that advice of like that line of credit, which as someone, I was not super like financially literate coming out of high school and college. Like I knew, again, how to balance a checkbook. I knew that much. And I knew, credit cards, probably not good. Debit card, better. And although I've learned some stuff in recent years where I'm like, actually, I just pretty much pay everything with credit cards now and build my credit and pay it off. But like I was not financially literate enough to like know about business lines of credit or anything like that. And I'm sure there are some of the listeners who are just like, Danielle, what is this? How do I get that to have that cushion to fall back on in the slow times to where, you're not drastically reducing your prices and just grabbing at all the money in the air, no matter, what size the dollar bill is.
So a line of credit is a type of loan. It's a type of debt that you get from the bank, but it is not. So there's two types you can get: a line of credit versus a term loan. A term loan is very much like your car note. Your car note is a term loan. There's a set amount of dollars that you're going to pay over a longer period of time, whether it's 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, whatever that is. Term loans for a business can go up like a mortgage. It could be 30 years. So you have the option for a term loan, and we can talk about that a little bit more in terms of if you are in a pinch right now, if you've maxed out your credit cards, if you already know about a line of credit and you've maxed it out, then term loans are a really good solution to, again, give you some peace of mind and some space and some solid concrete payments that you're going to have to get that debt down. A line of credit is very similar to a credit card, except instead of spending when you swipe it, you say, I need $20,000 to get through this month. And you literally go pull that money out like it's a bank account. And now you owe that $20,000 back, and it's sitting in your bank account to use on whatever it is that's necessary, whether that's payroll, whether it's keeping the lights on, whether it's keeping the internet running, keeping things going so that you can keep editing and continue to book and do all the things you need to do. That is how you use a line of credit. I will say with any form of debt, it is not that debt is bad, like you said earlier. Like it's not having and using a credit card isn't bad. It's using debt without intention that can create scenarios that are going to be problematic for you later. But if everything is intentional and a line of credit is meant for short-term use, then it can be a really great tool, A, to grow your business, but also to lean on when you need it. One of my favorite examples for people using a line of credit in a growth mentality and not just in like a recession or safety net is if you're hiring somebody, if you're bringing on a new person, you've got to train them, you've got to book them, you've got to fill them. It takes time to do all of that. And that is not time that they're making money yet.
Yeah.
And you need to still pay them. So it's a great opportunity to say, let me go use the line of credit, it'll cover this month's payroll. I know that they will more than make that up in the next 2 months. So then you can pay back the line of credit in that short-term gap, and it allows you to grow and continue to scale your business.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And yeah, that definition of line of credit is I think is going to be so helpful for so many people of just like, because I know a lot of people grew up in the 90s, early 2000s with all the, well, I think he's still around, but like all the Dave Ramsey debt is
Yep.
evil, don't take out a credit card no matter what, like pay everything in cash. And I did that for a while. I had the whole envelope system, and like, this is my grocery envelope and that's the only cash that I have. And but like, yeah, like debt can work for you, and it's just like you have to manage the debt, and don't just like take it in, not having, like, don't get a line of credit and think just like, all right, cool, I'm just going to go buy all new camera gear, or I'm just going to go spend all of this because I've been wanting to go on a trip to Disney. And
Mm-hmm.
which also, don't use your business finances for personal things. That's a whole nother conversation. But like, it's like, have a plan for it, of how you're going to use it. And like, that's something, I believe it's a line of credit, that like, I use Square readers for payments, and they have an option where you can get a line of credit that's like, the interest rate is half or less what a traditional credit card is.
Mm-hmm.
And it is that it just gets deposited right into your account, and then they just take a percentage back of every time that someone pays me. They're just like, oh yeah, yeah, we'll just take a little bit off the top until you've repaid this whole thing. And it's fantastic. I love it because it allows me to have that, like, that influx where maybe I do need to buy some new gear, or maybe I do need to, I'm hiring on someone and I need to pay them, but I don't have stuff coming in for them yet.
Mm-hmm.
And like, being able to do that whilst not having to think about like, oh, okay, this month I have to make sure that I pay off this credit card before this date so I don't get hit with a late fee or anything. It's just coming off the top. I don't even have to think about it.
Well, and it's the mental burden that goes with it. When we were talking
Mm-hmm.
about just a minute ago, maxed out credit cards.
Yeah.
If you've got a credit card maxed out at, let's say, I don't know, $20,000, that feels overwhelming. It feels like you're drowning in debt, like you're never going to get out of it.
Yeah.
But if you took that same 20,000 and you put it on, let's say, a term loan, and you're paying $500 a month for the next 5 years, that feels doable.
Mm-hmm.
That feels completely accessible. And the mental load, again, affecting how you make decisions in your business, is very different in the way that you structure that debt.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause then, like, it was the thing I hate the most about credit cards is like that minimum payment. And like, you pay the minimum payment, and then your next statement, it's like, wait, there's more money. How do I owe more money now because of the interest and all of that? And it just
Yep.
like keeps compounding. And yeah, you feel like you're drowning, especially if it's maxed out and it's like going over the limit with all the interest charges, and you're
Yep.
still struggling to bring in funds. Yeah, it is very exhausting. And I'm just like, my heart's like beating faster. I'm like getting a little anxious about that, just talking about it. But yeah, no, I think that's great. A line of credit, amazing, for like, kind of recession proofing, getting your business ready, and like that cushion, that savings. I had always heard of the, like, have an emergency fund, have something, just like away. And it was hard for me because I used to keep everything. Like, I had a checking and a savings, and that was it. And they were both at my bank, and I could see them every time that I checked my statements. And I kept seeing that emergency fund, which was not very big. It was like not even a whole month of emergency fund, but I kept seeing it, and I was like, ooh, but I want to get this thing. And I see this number over here. I could just borrow a little bit from that. And do you have any recommendations for like how to do that to where it's like that mental load where it's out of mind, out of sight. It's growing over here, and you're not tempted to just like fun a little bit off.
You totally just said it. If you do not have somebody like a fractional CFO or a bookkeeper or someone helping hold you accountable to your goals, then I highly recommend your savings, which is going to include emergency fund, profit distributions, and taxes, sit in a separate bank account with a separate bank that is out of sight, out of mind, so that when you move that money, it's not constantly staring you in the face and it doesn't feel as accessible. You don't want it to be inaccessible. You need to get to it when you need it,
Right.
but it doesn't feel as accessible as it does if it's sitting right next to your operating account.
Mm-hmm. It's almost like that bowl of candy on your desk. It's like
That you just
every
keep.
time that I walk past, I'm just gonna grab another Skittle because they're there, and my mouth is like already like, ooh, I can taste that that lemon and lime. Like grab two of those,
It's
mix
just
them
right
together.
there.
They're right there. I'm just gonna do it, and then soon that bowl is empty, and I have to go get more. But
Hmm.
yeah, like having them up in the pantry where I have to think of like, oh, I actually do want some candy right now, a little tasty afternoon treat, and then I can go get what I need and not eat the entire bowl. Which
Absolutely.
I have now moved mine to a high yield savings account because I learned about those a few
Even
years
better.
ago. Insane. Like the like I think I was getting 0.03% interest on my savings account in my bank, and with the high yield I'm like 4.6. It
Hmm.
is
Especially right
it's
now.
crazy. Yeah, right now is amazing. um but yeah, I love that, like having it out of mind to help you uh, not dip into that savings all the time. So okay, so how can we maybe another step or two of like how can we like proactively recession proof our business once we have this savings account, once we have like maybe that line of credit to help have that cushion just in case.
So we're looking at our numbers, we're watching what's happening to them. If you start to see a dip that was not expected, and that's really the biggest thing when you're looking at your finances, you'll hear people talk about budgets, and yes, we need a budget. It's all about building an expectation, though. If you
Mhm.
know what the expectation is and we're not meeting the expectation, that's where we get to tell the story. If you start seeing things dip and it's not meeting expectations, then you get down to like, what's the root cause? What's happening here? What do we need to solve? So looking at your numbers is absolutely the very first thing. Having that safety net would be the second. The third step that I always recommend when it comes to recession proofing a business is looking at your expenses. And we do an expense review with all of our clients at the very beginning when they start with us, but also every single year when we're prepping a new budget because new things happen all the time. You want to look at your expenses and put them in one of three categories. You're going to have what I call required expenses. Can't take pictures without a camera.
Right.
So you've got some required expenses. I'm sure there's required internet, required cell phone. You can't run a business without internet and cell phone today.
Oh yeah.
Then you have what I like to call the personal perks. My kids are on my payroll. Do they add value to my business? No, nope, they don't. But they have a defensible position in the business that adds value to our personal tax position. So that is a personal perk of me being a business owner, and it is an expense on my business that is very personal. Not to say all your personal stuff should go on your business. That's a whole other conversation, but there are tax defensible perks that you get as a business owner.
Mhm.
And those are going to be part of your owner's compensation. It's a personal perk to you as the owner. Everything else in your business, if it's not required and it's not a personal perk, is an investment in your business. And investments need to have a return, whether it is in time, money, or both. So we always recommend business owners for ease. There are more than what hits your credit card, but most of us stick things on our credit card. Go pull your credit card statement, or if you're a debit card person, go pull your bank statement. Look at all of those transactions and decide, is this required to run my business? Is it a personal perk? I took somebody out for a meal that we really enjoyed. Is it an investment in my business? And for all of those investments, I want you to sit down and say, what is this giving back to my business? And if it's not giving back to your business, it's not a good investment.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not giving back more than you're spending, it's not a good investment. And that can be hard to quantify when it's giving back time. So the other exercise I really recommend business owners do is calculate the value of your time. How much money do you want to make in your business? Divide that by 2,000. That is the value of your hour.
Yeah.
And are you putting your time where your hour is worth it?
Oh yeah. Yeah. And that's like if you're working full time, because I know a lot of people, like myself included, I have maybe 20 hours of work a week because I'm also a primary parent at home. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
leaving in a few hours now. It's only 10 o'clock here right now. It's just been a long morning. Wow, it is 10. Okay, cool. That's great. I'm so excited. I have more things to do after this. But like, yeah, like if you only have 20 hours, like you figure out the hours that you actually can work on your business, and then how much do you need to make per hour to like justify those like I use the AI editor, Imagine AI, they're sponsor of the
Mm-hmm.
show. It's amazing. I can edit or have them edit an entire wedding, which used to take me 3, 4, or 5 hours in about 15 minutes. And now I have that time back. I still go through, do my little tweaks and edits, and personal touches, cropping, whatever. But still, like it only takes me a couple hours when it used to take upwards of 5, 6, 8 hours to do the entire thing. And that was hard to justify at first because I was like, this is an expense I'm paying on the front end. But then I was able to do so much more in my business to like grow it and work
Mm-hmm.
on my business instead of just working in my business, that increased the amount of money that I was making per hour, which also increased the value of the service that I was sending out to
Absolutely. It's
save those hours.
exponential.
It's crazy. Yeah. No, I love it. And it's something that like, it's going to take you a minute to like sit down
Yep.
and write those things out. But like, as you're listening right now, pull out your phone if you're not driving, and like put it in your calendar of, here in 2 weeks from today, I'm going to set an hour to
Mm-hmm.
go through my bank statement, my credit cards, whatever, and figure out what are the investments, what are, my personal things, what's the like equipment and the stuff that I need to just run the business, and then assess those investments. Because I love going to conferences. I love like learning from people. And there have been a few of them that I've gone to, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not going again next year because I did not get a return on this investment. Like
They are one of my favorite examples because a
yeah.
conference or any form of educational tool is
Mm-hmm.
not just a financial investment, it is a time investment. So it costs you money
Yep.
and time. And if you're not implementing something on the other side of it or you didn't gain connections,
Mm-hmm.
it's not a good investment.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And there have been some that were great, and maybe like the connections ended up paying off or bringing a return years down the road.
Yep.
But it wasn't something that I could justify going year after year, especially like the out of state stuff where now you have the travel time and travel expenses. And, if I'm going to be traveling, I like to stay at a nice hotel. I do not want to go
I mean,
Motel
nobody
6
wants
over
to be.
here. Yeah. I don't want to have to wake up and wonder if like that's a cockroach in my bed. Like that is, I
No,
have
no, that's
like
not okay.
borderline phobia of cockroaches. So I did that at one point in my business where I'm like, yeah, no, it's cool. You buy whatever whatever hotel you want, and I will just stay there. And then it was like this $30 a night sketchy motel, and smelt like they just paint, like fresh paint or something, like
Oh
an
no.
hour. So it was like super strong fumes, bugs in the room. I was like, you know what? I'm going to go sleep in my car.
And
Thank you
then you
very
don't get
much.
any good sleep, and then you're at the conference half asleep, and then it's just not worth it.
100%. So yeah, think about all of those things as you're trying to justify, like, is this a good return? Is this a good use of your time? And even like investments in different software, like I mentioned Imagine with photo editing, or using like even like hiring a VA to help you with stuff. If you're not like laying out what they're going to be doing and working with them, or if you're just like, I don't know, here, manage my inbox, and then they're you're paying them a lot to do just that one thing when they could be doing other things, it may not
Mhm.
be the best investment. Maybe you need to like figure out more stuff for them to do. But yeah, that whole thing, there's a lot of analysis, which takes time, which is why I mentioned schedule that on your calendar. For me, if it's not on the calendar, it rarely gets done. And like I even put in breaks and rest and like family days. And like I'm gonna put it on the calendar, because if someone
Yep.
asks about this date, I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, nothing's on there. Yeah, let's go ahead and do it. I'm getting better at that, like assessing the days around too. But yeah, okay. This is great, Danielle. Any last steps or words of advice or anything for kind of being more present in our businesses, seeing the numbers, knowing what those numbers mean, and like getting ready and recession proofing our businesses?
I'm just going to repeat what I said earlier and don't be afraid to look. I know, especially
Mm,
as creatives, it can feel so overwhelming. And if it does, ask for help. Ask for help from a bookkeeper, ask for help from a business friend, but you have to know how your business is doing, or you don't know how your business is doing. You can't
yeah,
rely on the world to tell you we're in a recession and suddenly think, oh man, my business is going to crumble. Your business might be doing just fine, or it might already be crumbling and it had nothing to do with the recession. You've got to know how your business is doing.
yeah. Yeah. And like for those who are just, like we mentioned earlier, we're both kind of like more of that like creative, but also very fascinated with business and finance and all that. If you're listening and you're like, I don't even like to look at numbers. I just don't get it. I can't, like it would take so much mental energy and time to do that. Use that line of credit to hire a bookkeeper. Like if you're like, I can't afford to hire someone to help me out with this, that line of credit, that would be a great thing to do, is bring someone in who is really good at their job. Like that's what they do. They're going to do a great job of like looking at your numbers and then telling you what they mean.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, Danielle, this has been so good. I have loved this. Before we kind of wrap up, I like to do a part of the show where we talk about what we're loving this week. And it can be literally anything: a new book, TV show, food, whatever. What are you loving this week?
Okay, I'm gonna admit a guilty pleasure here. I'm a bit of a
Ooh, these are
TikTok
the best.
scroller,
Okay,
and
cool.
my daughter yells at me because I keep getting sucked into the TikTok shop. I am in love with the Pop Daddy pretzels this week.
Ooh, okay. This is not one that I've seen in the TikTok shop.
They have a sampler pack of all these, like garlic parmesan and ranch, and
Ah.
I'm in love with their pretzels this week.
Okay. Are these like the big, like soft, like
No, they're
Auntie
like
Anne's, or
stick
like the?
pretzels
Okay. Okay.
with really good flavoring, like hot
Ooh.
wing flavored.
Ooh. Okay. And what is this called again? I'm just gonna like jump on TikTok real quick.
Pop Daddy pretzels, and I have no
Pop Daddy.
sponsors, affiliates, nothing. But I,
Mm,
again, scrolling TikTok, I was like, "Ooh, you
okay.
shouldn't scroll TikTok at night when you're hungry. It's a bad thing."
It is a really bad thing. Yeah. And I like my For You page is curated for, like, I follow a bunch of chefs, and it's never good where I'm just laying there. It's like, 11 p.m. Like, oh, man, now I'm hungry. And they made a really good looking omelet. Or it's like, I get sucked into potato talk, where there's just
Yeah.
like
Have
going
you been on
through,
Cucumber Talk?
oh, how can you not be on cucumber talk? You got to eat a whole cucumber every day, which
Absolutely.
I have not done any of those. I don't have like a Julian whatever machine to slice them, but I was like, oh, that sounds pretty good. The peanut butter like soy one, I was like, I would eat that. That does
Mm-hmm.
sound good. I'm not a big cucumber fan, but cover it with enough spices, I'm here for
I
it.
bet it's good.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, if you make a TikTok and link to that shop, then then I'll get that
We're
Pop
all going to be
Daddy.
looking for some Pop Daddy.
Yes. Okay. Sweet. Pop Daddy pretzels. I'm probably gonna try that. There have been a few things that I've got from TikTok shop, and they've been pretty good. I got like
Hmm.
actually the the freeze dried candies. Um,
Yes.
I got the Skittles one, or it's like an off brand Skittles. The lemon and the lime are good. All the other ones, I was like, I don't know what this is. It's like it's hitting like that bitter sensor on the back of my tongue, and
That's
it's
not good.
no. So those are good for lemon and lime if you like those. Uh, but okay, cool. Let's see. What am I loving this week? I'm loving a show that I just happened upon on Prime Video. It was just like, hey, you'd probably like this because you like suspenseful thriller horror stuff. And I think season 3 is coming out later this month, or I guess last month, as this is airing.
I'm going to die
Uh,
if you say the show that I just started watching earlier this month.
oh, is it From?
Yes!
Okay. Did you like it? Do you
I
like From?
did. I
Okay.
got sucked in.
Me too. I was like, okay, I didn't even read the description. I was just like, sure, I'll trust you, Amazon. And they've suggested some good stuff in the past, and I think I just finished the second season of Them, um,
Hmm.
which was also great. And then From came up, and I was like, cool, another singular word show. I'll
Very
go with that.
lost-ish.
Very lost-ish. Very, yeah. It had lots of Lost vibes, um, but like an elevated Lost. Like if
Hmm.
Lost wasn't on primetime TV, like
If
if it was on
lost meant M.
HBO or
Night
something.
Shyamalan.
Yes, Lost, M. Night Shyamalan with some curse words.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I haven't seen season 2 yet because it's behind a paywall for MGM Plus, but I'm gonna do the whole free trial and then
Yeah.
just binge it in a week whenever season 3 comes out. But yeah, no, okay, cool. I love that you you also got into From.
Small world.
Small world, yeah. But yeah, okay, well, cool. Danielle, where can people find you online? Where can they reach out, say hey, work with you, all those things?
Yeah, so we have a landing page set up just for you guys. It's going to be on our webpage. So it's the number 4 cornerscfo.com/wisdom tangents. And we will also have the free download on that landing page. I'll make sure it's the expense review so that you guys can go in and download a little more detail on how we get into that expense review and make sure that you're reviewing your expenses, whether we get a recession or not. It's a great exercise.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. I love that. And that's very cool. It's a custom web page and everything. So yeah, sweet. I will have a link to that in the show notes. I'll also link to y'all's Instagram and all of that as well, so people can follow along and let you know what they thought about the show and everything. I always love getting those DMs. So yeah. Well, Danielle, this has been so great. I loved getting to talk to you. I loved like I feel like my financial side of the brain is a little bit more stimulated today. I'm like feeling good about things, and I just feel like definitely 5-10 year ago John really needed this episode. Really needed to know that credit is not scary. Like you do not have to live on your debit card or with cash only, and like you can use money to work for you and build your business while still having control of everything. So thank you for sharing all of that, and yeah, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I love any chance I can get people to talk about finance, look at their numbers, not be so afraid of what's on the other side of their QuickBooks.
Yes. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Wisdom and the Tangents podcast. As always, you can check out all the show notes in the show description, as well as podcast.allheartphoto.com. We've got a ton of free resources out there for you on the website, from email templates to sales call strategy and caption guides and lots of stuff. Plus our sponsors of the show. We have all of those out there for you where you can get some good discounts on some amazing services that I personally use. All of our sponsors I personally use. Be sure to follow Danielle on Instagram, follow the show on Instagram as well, tag us, share about the show. We love hearing from y'all. And be sure to subscribe to the show if you are not already, wherever you're listening to this on, any podcast player, YouTube, whatever. If you're just walking past a Subway shop and they are playing this on their speaker, cool. Thanks, Subway. Subscribe there, get a loyalty card. 10th sub is free, I hear. But yeah, subscribe so you don't miss anything. Next week I have Dolly DeLong on the show. If you attended the virtual summit that I was a speaker in a few months ago, for Conquer Live, it was a Conquer Summit, friends of the show, Heather and Jamie, Dolly DeLong was one of the other speakers, and I loved her talk because I also got to sit in for a couple other talks, which was fun. And next week, we are talking all about the power of a pre-launch. So if you are like me, who I said, I admitted to in the episode that a lot of times I'll have an idea for a launch or doing something, and I just kind of like, okay, I'm just going to throw it out there. I'm just going to, here, this is what I'm doing. She goes through the power of like planning a pre-launch and working up to launching on that date. So tune in next week for that. Dolly DeLong, it's going to be great. Leave us a review if you have not already. Leave us a little 5-star rating on Spotify if you're listening on there, because they don't do reviews. But I will see you next week with Dolly. Bye, y'all.